The road trip is in the books. Bulls are heading back home, and they've lost 3 games in a row. We talked about how tough it would be against Golden State and Sacramento. That proved to be the case. But now, Bulls are going home, but they might need to look themselves in a mirror. That's something we're going to talk about in today's episode of Believe in Bulls there on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I'm your host, Nick Schultz, alongside my partner, former Bulls bench mob member and Tennessee Vol, C.J. Watson. C.J., I got to give you credit, man. You called that Kings game. You said they were going to win that game, and the Kings end up winning. It was a bad end of the road trip, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a tough game to play, coming off a Golden State loss and then, playing another fast-running, fast-paced team. It's never in the good favor of an opposing team.
Well, especially when you're facing like a former Golden State assistant. That we
Right.
talked about that the other day. Like they're going to be similar, and the
Right.
games went pretty similar, I think, because it's been a pretty common tale this year in these games, and that's something we're going to talk about as we go along today. After I tell you about our friends at Bet Online, basketball is back, and Bet Online remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. It is always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. World Cup's going on. The U.S. has been eliminated, but you can bet on that as well. College hoops is in full swing. Bet on all of it at BetOnline. What are you waiting for? Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Get that 50% bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. And don't forget, as you're doing your Christmas shopping, your holiday shopping coming up, shop.believe.com is a great place to get some stuff. We have an official shirt of the show, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance. And you can also get this hat at shop.believe.com. That is a shameless plug right there. I'm glad I wore this today. Shop.believe.com. Guys do great work putting that all together. It's a great place to do some holiday shopping. I'm sure I'll probably be hitting that up for some last minute shopping, but you can check that out over there and support the show. 2-game losing streak to end the road trip, actually a 3-game losing streak, but since we were last on, Bulls lost back-to-back games. Golden State 119, Bulls 111. Bulls pulled back in. They made that a game on national TV. And I'm actually going to call you out on this because he called on Draymond Green to hit more threes. He hit the 3 that kind of sealed that game. They had no answer to that, the Bulls did. Then the Bulls lost to the Sacramento Kings 110-101. It is a 2-4 road trip. The record is now 9-14. Your thoughts on those last 2 games of that 6th game with the circus trip? I'm still going to call it the circus trip.
So I love the pace that they're playing in. I love the pace that DeMar and Zach are playing. Vooch gave some good effort. I like the coaching change in the Golden State game, putting Caruso in the starting lineup for more defense, I feel like. But I just think they gotta lock down on defense a little more. The scoring, they can score with anybody. I don't think the record dictates how good the Bulls are or could be. But I think, like I said, this defense is the biggest issue, I think, right now.
And that's going to be going forward. I mean, that's been one thing all year. We've been complaining and whining about the defense. And, you faced Golden State. I was worried about that 3-point shooting from Golden State. Yeah. That's what torched them. And then Sacramento, similar style. They shoot the 3 a lot. And that was the difference in that game. Yeah. I like the lineup changes. And if you missed it, Alex Caruso and Javonte Green went into the starting lineup against Golden State. Ayo Dosunmu and Patrick Williams went to the bench. Now, Patrick Williams started against Sacramento because Javonte Green was out. That's why he jumped back in. But I'm hoping to see Javonte in the lineup. But I was surprised to see Caruso because I thought he'd kind of anchor that second unit. I really thought we'd see Dragic in the starting lineup over Caruso. So what you said, you like Caruso starting. What would you think about potentially having Dragic jump in that spot?
I mean, I think I like Caruso better just for defense, perseverance. And then he doesn't really need the ball on offense that much. He's not going to really demand it on pick and rolls. He can knock down a 3 here and there, but I'd rather have him in there for defense and let Dragic come off the bench in second unit and just leading that group.
I mean, he is the best defender on the team, Alex Caruso. I mean, that's not. I mean, the guy gives up his body over and over. He made some big plays against Golden State to keep Bulls in that game, and I just feel like Dragic, he's great for that second unit. I think he kind of controls the offense, especially with you move Ayo and Patrick Williams there. That's a young second unit with Dosunmu, Kobe White, Patrick Williams. You can anchor that with 2 veterans. It's great.
Right.
And I really think if you have Caruso on that second unit too, I think it would work just as well because not only does he bring the defensive like tenacity and all that, he's got that veteran presence to him too. So I see why Caruso's in the starting lineup, but I feel like at this point it's just kind of mix and match. You got to find something that works because these slow starts are getting old.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta throw everything you can out there, especially just anything to get a win. I think at this point, just figure out the lineups, figure out who plays well with who. what matchups match up with the other team. So I think Coach Donovan has to do a better job of doing that maybe, and just throwing things out there, maybe shaking up things and going super small, and just just using whatever you can just to get a win.
See, and the thing with Patrick Williams too, because we talked about the debate all year: should he start? Should he come off the bench? To me, I think he'd be good in that sixth man role. I think
Yeah,
he could be one of those guys like, okay, this lineup, Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, they're going to be your scorers. They're going to have the ball in their hands more.
right.
So if you're Patrick Williams, you go onto that bench unit. Yeah, Kobe White is your catch and shoot three guy. You said Caruso doesn't need the ball in his hands a lot. Dragic can distribute. Andre Drummond's your rebounder. Patrick Williams, if you think about it, could be that go-to scoring guy on
Yeah.
that second unit. Maybe I'm oversimplifying things. I don't know. Maybe I am a Patrick Williams truther. I am out here saying that Patrick Williams is legitimate. I think he's going to be a really good player in this league. But I think for now, with the way this roster is constructed, especially with needing energy and Javonte Green bringing that, I like the idea of Patrick Williams coming off the bench.
Yeah, I do too. And maybe I like playing him maybe at that 4 spot, maybe pairing him
That's what
with
I'm
Drummond.
thinking.
And because like I said, you got to pair Vooch and Zach and DeMar with guys who can knock down threes, because they're going to get double teamed and they got to find shooters. And right now we don't have any shooters.
Yeah, that's tough when you can't shoot the three in this day and age.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's all about the 3-point shot right now. I mean,
Yep.
we joked all year about the Lakers who are suddenly turning a corner. It seems
Right.
like are the Lakers good? If
Right.
did we write them off too early? Well, no, I'm not ready to say that yet. But my point is we've joked about the Lakers not being able to shoot. The Bulls can't shoot either. Like,
Right.
I mean, they go through the mid-range game, which if DeMar is on his game, Vooch from the mid-range is good. If Patrick Williams gets that little floater he's got, that little
Yep.
he does what, 2 dribbles off the corner, pull up jumper, like he's
Yeah.
automatic with that. So the
Yeah.
mid-range game, is it sustainable is another question, but for right now, if that's your strength, you play to your strengths and you go from there. Now you got that December 15th trade date. I still think we're going to see some kind of move. I don't know what, but for right now, ride the mid-range game, ride the horse till she bucks you.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to play to your strengths, and I think that is definitely one of the trade things we should be looking at, is trying to get a 3-and-D guy or some more 3-point shooting around your superstars, and I think that would help the team a lot. So hopefully they can get that, and then hopefully get the main guy back, Lonzo Ball, who's capable of willing this team to several wins just by himself, just being on the court.
Yeah, and we don't know what the deal is with Lonzo.
Right.
I mean, I'm done trying to speculate. I mean, I wasn't trying to speculate anyway on when we're getting Lonzo Ball back, but I'm sitting here going, okay, when he gets back on the court, we're gonna find out more. But the fact that he wasn't running or cutting as of last week, like I'm done trying to think about that. And I mean, I say I don't want to use it as a crutch, but with the way the schedule has been, like you could tell they miss him. He's not Superman. He's not. I'm a Marvel guy. He's not Captain America. He's not going to come in here. He's not going to, save the day right away. Like they still need more help. But I don't know if I'm ready to blow this thing up yet, which we're going to get to that in 1 second. But one more thing I want to talk about the way this team is constructed right now. We talked about this before we started recording. I think it's something we can talk about on air for sure. Zach LaVine's shot selection.
Yeah.
Not sold on it so far. He had a couple bad shots late in that Golden State game where I'm like, why are you taking that 3? Like, I feel like one more pass sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's I think obviously he's a superstar. He's your main guy, but I think he has the green light. But I think also he still has to be aggressive, but also get his teammates involved. Also, that's going to help him out even more. It's going to get him even more open looks, even more single coverage. So I think a couple of those shots were questionable. I know he's one of the main 3-point shooters and capable guys of making threes and taking threes, but I think some of the threes that he's taking are questionable. He can get a better shot, turn it down, maybe drive to the paint a little more and get to the basket, maybe draw another defender and kick to someone else.
Now, let me be clear. We're talking about the need for 3-point shooters. I'm not telling Zach LaVine to quit shooting threes. Like, still shoot them. Just there are times where, like, don't force it. Like, when in the late in the Golden State game, I mean, the Bulls, they had the momentum going before Draymond hit that shot, and that was the one I tweeted. Like, they had no answer. Draymond Green hit the shot to put him up 4 points, and it was over. Like, the Bulls just had no answer because they were forcing. And I want to see, don't settle. Get that extra pass sometimes, or get inside. Like, that part of that could be the knee too. Like, I mean, the explosiveness is starting to come back. I feel like we're starting to see some of those explosive plays at the rim. But to me, Zach LaVine just needs to sometimes just take a step back. I'm a big fan of the extra pass if you can take it. Like, sometimes it doesn't work out, but one more pass doesn't hurt sometimes, in my opinion.
Yeah. One of my coaches used to always say, turn down a good shot to get a great shot. And that's what I think the Bulls need to do. Attack the paint a little bit more, get to the free throw line, and just let that kind of open up your 3-point shooting. Because obviously, like you said, we're not a great 3-point shooting team. Taking contested threes is never good. It always lowers your percentage, especially when you're not even a good 3-point shooting team already. So your percentage is going to go down even more. So I think just attacking the basket more, trying to get some dribble drives and kicks to open shots.
And just go through Vooch.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, for
Vooch is a
sure.
good enough passer. He can find an open guy. If he can't find the open guy, he'll just take it himself.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Stacey King calls it the land of the little people, the Gulliver's
Mhm.
Travels thing. Just let Vooch be Vooch sometimes. Like, and that's part of that could be, the double teams and getting someone open. But I
Yeah.
like to see more of it running through Vucevic. I like the idea of running it through the big guy who can pass. That's the Nikola Jokic style.
Yeah,
Run
yeah,
it
for
through the
sure.
big guy.
Yeah, I think you got to give Vooch some more touches, get him down there, make him draw double teams, and like I said, that's going to open up more 3-point shooting, open shots, and spacing has to be a little bit better. Also, I think their spacing is kind of all in the mid range right now. So, but hopefully, they'll figure that out through practice and getting back home and just getting some more reps in.
Well, and that's where adding a 3-point shooter will come into play. And as
Yeah.
we talk about additions here, the calls to blow this thing up, and we talked about this
Mhm.
last week. I thought it was a one-off thing. I thought this was just a guy from the Ringer saying the Bulls should blow this up, and I thought, okay, this will blow over. No,
Right.
you've got guys like Zach Lowe was out there saying, the people are waiting to see what the Bulls are going to do at the deadline. I think Woj said something along that line. So these calls to blow this thing up and the idea of trading DeRozan, I have heard more talk about trading DeMar DeRozan in the last 3 days than I ever thought I would hear. And he's only
Right.
been there a year and a month.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to me, I stand by it. New Year's. You get to January 1. If you're still there 5 games under 500 right now, if you're
Yeah.
still under 500 like this, if you're not in the hunt for the play-in tournament, then conversations need to happen. But is that going to be maybe too long to wait, do you think? Or, I mean, maybe I'm being too optimistic about this roster. What do you think?
No, I think you should stick with it. I think they have enough on this roster on paper to win. I think their record doesn't dictate who they are. They're way better than their record, I feel like. I don't think you blow it up at all. I think you just keep with the pace. Obviously, you look to make some moves, and hopefully you make a couple moves that will help better your team. But other than that, I think we just stick with it for now. There's a lot of injuries, coming. Zach missed a pretty chunk of time in the beginning, so it's kind of hit and miss right now. You just got to stick with it for now, I think.
And the thing about the idea of blowing it up, these are the same people who are talking about how much they gave up to get
Right.
this roster. The money you paid DeRozan and Lonzo, the amount you sent to Orlando for Vucevic. If you made that investment, and that's a lot you invested, why not try and see it through a little longer and give
Right.
this roster a chance instead of giving up right away? Because you didn't give up all that to give up.
Right. And I think people hit the panic button way too fast. I feel like you got to be patient. It's a long season. Anything could happen. And obviously, these blow up rumors are always going to start when you keep losing. If they win a
Yeah.
couple games, and it might cool down, calm down a little bit. But if they keep losing, it's going to be more fire on the fire pit.
And the thing about this season, we have talked every week about, oh, it's a tough stretch. It's a tough stretch. The metrics show the Bulls
Mhm.
have played the toughest schedule in the NBA this year. I mean, the number one, it's according to ESPN. This is not just me and CJ out here saying, oh, no, on the eye test, this is important.
Right.
ESPN's metrics say the toughest schedule in the league so far without their starting point guard.
Yeah.
And going forward, this is from Tankathon. I could not find anywhere other than Tankathon, but Tankathon's pretty reliable, I'd say, with this stuff. Third easiest schedule going forward. Now is not the time to blow it up. That's why I say give it another few weeks or maybe make a move after December 15th.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like you said, we have the third easiest schedule. This is going to mean hopefully result in some wins and hopefully, 4, 5, 6 in a row. We'll get them back over 500 and give them some breathing room until Lonzo gets back. And if they make a couple of trades, trying to bring that team chemistry in with this new guy. So I think everybody's schedule is going to get easier or harder. So just stick with it and be patient.
It's the thing, patience. This is
Mhm.
still, I mean, yeah, you've got DeRozan. I consider Vooch as a veteran at this point.
Yeah.
I'd say you've got those veteran guys. I mean, Zach LaVine is a young budding superstar who's been to one postseason series, and that's not
Yeah.
his fault. That's the fault of the situation he's been in. I would assume he was in his second year. Patrick Williams is in his third year, missed all of last year. So this is I count this like I feel like I'm talking about the Lion King. The Lion King 2.5, Patrick Williams 2.5. I still don't know what that whole thing
All
was
right.
about, but it's like year 2.5 for Patrick Williams. Like you've got guys who are still learning this, how to battle through adversity and everything.
Right.
Having the tough schedule like that, it was just a bad draw to start the year. This next few weeks is going to be important, and I want to see what they do after that trade. So December 15th, that's the date players who signed this offseason can be traded. Is that kind of how that works, if I'm
Yeah,
reading
I think
that
that's
right?
how. Yeah, I think that's how it works. Yep.
So that's like a date where you're going to see, okay, who are some of these guys who can be on the move? You've heard John Collins name thrown around. We've talked about Derrick Rose maybe as a
Yeah.
target. Like, I mean, John Collins to me, do the Bulls go after a guy like that? I don't know. I haven't put much thought into that because we're still 10 days away from this thing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not ready to start looking into guys. Maybe end of this week and into next week, we'll start finding out more, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think, like I said, just let it ride out to a couple more weeks. See if going back home can get them a couple wins, and see if they can bring, look in the mirror, like you said, and trying to find themselves and really take responsibility on these games.
And again, the record is 9-14. You are 23 games into an 82 game season.
Yeah,
There's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot. I mean, the fact that they had the third easiest schedule going forward, if they had the third easiest schedule to start the year and they were 9-14,
that'd be
this
different. Yeah,
conversation is flipped on its head. But
right.
we are
Yeah,
talking about blowing this thing up. Toughest schedule in the league. Now it eases up. I'd rather have it this way.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, you get your young guys, give them a test in the beginning of the season, see what they can do, what they can't do, and what you really have on your roster. And from now on, like you said, the third easiest schedule, we should be able to turn a lot of these wins and turn them around and really turn around the season, really.
And you see the thing last year, and it showed up on my Facebook memories today. The Bulls were a half game out of being the number one seed in the East a year ago today. They also had a pretty favorable schedule to start the year. And that was something we talked about at the time. So now this year, it's just backwards.
Right.
Like they had a tough schedule to start. Now it's going to ease up. That's a good test going forward. And that's where you're going to see how do these guys come out on the other side of that. That's where these lineup changes come in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think, like you said, it's a young team, kind of, and you got some vets on this team. But most importantly, a lot of these guys have never been to the postseason. They don't really know what it takes to get there. So hopefully, this will give them a little test. And like you said, the easiest schedule will hopefully benefit in our factor.
So one guy to watch here. If you could pick one guy that you got to watch in this stretch going forward, who you going with?
I'm going with Zach LaVine. He's the superstar of the team. Everything goes through him. Win or loss, it all falls on him. So I think just to see how he reacts, how he responds, and really takes on the challenge of being that guy and then trying to will his team to a victory every game.
And smarter shot selection.
Yeah, yeah, a better shot selection. Yeah.
I don't like seeing I don't like going on Twitter and saying, Zach, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
I go back to that.
Yeah, I don't like the bailout threes. I know this league is all built on making and taking threes, but you want to take good ones and smart ones. You don't want to just be launching up threes just for no reason, just because you guys need to get up a shot. So I think his shot selection can be better, and that maybe will help everyone else's shot selection be better.
Well, and Zach's had games where he's had 7, 8 assists, so he's proven
Right.
he can do it in more than just shooting.
Yeah, he can be a playmaker. He just has to want to do it, I think.
Yeah, and maybe that could also be. I know there is pressure that comes with the contract. Like the $250 million, there's a mental pressure that I got to play up to that potential. So maybe you're forcing shots.
Right.
That's part of the conversation Billy Donovan's got to have with them. Like, hey, maybe take a step back and maybe 1 extra second, extra pass. I go. Right. That's my big mantra in basketball. Is I like the extra pass idea. That's why I don't play anymore because I'm always too passive. And when I play with my friends, I pass the ball too much.
You seem like a scorer to me.
I play good defense.
Right.
I can't shoot. Cannot shoot. That's why I sit here writing about guys who shoot and talking about guys who shoot. I play good defense.
Hey, defense wins championships.
I don't put my body on the line like Alex Caruso does, but I like to fancy myself as a good defender. I'm sure my friends can, vouch for that. We haven't played in a while, but part of it is because it's really cold here. I hate this weather.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I told you let's see, it is now. Oh, I'm sorry. It's up to 42 degrees here right now. So it's up from 40 degrees. So we got a heat wave coming in.
Any wind chill out there yet, Chicago?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure in Chicago there is. I mean, I live outside the city. I don't get the lake wind like I did when I was in Chicago. I'm in the middle of the cornfield. There's no wind off the cornfield.
Oh, okay,
There's nothing here.
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally the middle of nowhere out here. It makes it that much colder.
Right.
But I mean, it's kind of like not as cold as the Bulls 3-point shooting is sometimes, but still pretty cold. I mean, but so let's look at I want to look at what's coming up next here. Like I've talked about, okay, 30 easiest schedule. Home against Washington, home against Dallas, at Atlanta. That's the first back-to-back they've had since that stretch where they had 3 back-to-backs in like a week and a half. Yep. So you got a back-to-back coming up. You got the Knicks at home for 2. I mean, I'm talking home against the Knicks on Wednesday the 14th, home against the Knicks on Friday the 16th. One of those games is on ESPN. Great. Another game on national TV. Awesome. That's just fantastic. Like, I think these are some pretty favorable matchups. Atlanta scares the hell out of me. I've talked about that all year. I mean, DeJounte Murray,
Yeah.
enough said. Putting him with Trae Young, which there was an issue with Trae Young and Nate McMillan. I saw Shams reported yesterday.
Yeah, I was
That's
talking about
something
that
to
at dinner
watch.
last night. I don't know what the issue was, but I
Yeah,
guess he had a treatment or whatever. Didn't go to shoot around, and then Coach Nate told him don't go to the game. And Nate was my coach in Indiana, so he's very old school, which I love and like. And I guess he just told him don't come to the game, and Trey didn't show up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no school like the old school. I mean,
Right?
that's my
Yeah.
attitude now. That's why I'm such a fan of the mid range game. It's like I love
Yeah.
the idea of no school like the old school. But
Right.
I didn't get a chance to read Shams' full story on that. I saw the tweet because I turned on his tweet notifications during free agency, and I just have never turned them off. I don't know
Right.
why. And I got the alert. I'm like, Trae Young did what? And I haven't
Yeah.
read the story yet, so that's something to watch going into Sunday's game.
Yeah.
But I think that's not a bad draw. I'd say outside of the national TV game, which just play well on national TV once, please,
Yeah.
just once, win a national TV game. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that I think they did earlier in the year, but win another one.
Yeah, I think they can go like 5-1 or 4-2 on that streak. I don't know if it's 6 games you mentioned or five, but I think they're all those games are winnable. The Dallas game could be a tough one, but like I said, we just gotta bring defense. I think defense is the main thing. Once they get that defense taken care of and shored up, the offense, we know we can score. Just gotta stop somebody.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing is just stopping a guy, and then we like looking at this Washington game. This is how I'm going to segue into this. Bulls play Washington on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. Washington couldn't stop Anthony Davis last
Right.
night, Sunday night. 55 points against the Wizards, and he had
Yeah.
44 points against the Bucks. That's the AD we've been waiting for,
Oh
by the
yeah.
way. Like this is the AD I thought we'd see the whole time in LA, and we haven't seen. Okay, where's the joke? Where's the joke about the trade? We totally chalked off that trade proposal a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna hear people clawing for it because he scored 99 points over 2 games. I guarantee it.
Right, yeah. He's silencing all the haters, which I love. He's playing, like you said, the way AD should have been playing, and we all know he's capable of playing. So I think it's just more kudos to him. I think he's feeling more comfortable. I know Braun wants to pass the torch to him, but now I think it's even easier to do that when he's playing the way he's playing.
Yeah, I mean it does a lot when a guy scored 99 points over 2 games.
Yeah.
And I think he's the first one to have what was it 40 points and 15 rebounds in 2 games since Kevin McHale. So he's
Yeah.
in really good company. And don't look now. The Lakers are 10 and 12.
Hey man, like I always said, the Lakers are going to be scary. No one wants to play them in the playoffs because those 3 Hall of Famers they have in that team, and if they can make a couple trades, get some shooters in there, they'll be definitely scary.
If I'm doing my math right, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games.
Yeah.
And I was a journalism major. Take my math with a grain of salt. You're going to want to go check it out for yourself.
Yeah.
But 10 and 12 record right now, that's a better record than the Bulls.
Yeah.
All those
That's
jokes we made earlier in the year come back to haunt me.
Yeah. That's the run the Bulls need to go on, like an 8-2 run, a 5-1, 6-1. Like those are kind of runs they got to go on to get back in the hunt.
And the key here, looking at the teams they've beaten: Brooklyn, Detroit, San Antonio, San Antonio, San Antonio. They played San Antonio 3 times. I'm looking at this guy: San Antonio, San Antonio, San Antonio, and then they beat the Blazers, the Bucks, and the Wizards. My point is they've won the games they're supposed to win. That's what the Bulls need
Right.
to do with the
Mhm.
schedule making this turn like this. Win the games
Yep.
you're supposed to win.
Yep, that's what it's all about. Win the games you're supposed to win, and win a few you're not supposed to win. That's what Bruce Pearl always told us in college, and that's how we got to be a number 2 ranked team in the tournament. We won the games we were supposed to win, and a couple of the games we weren't supposed to win, we upset some people. So that's what you want.
And Bruce Pearl knows a thing or two about basketball.
Yeah, one or two things.
I'd say, did you
Right.
watch Auburn last year? If you didn't watch
Right.
Auburn last year, go find the highlights or just watch what Jabari Smith's doing in the
Yeah.
league. I mean, Jabari Smith, he was one of my favorite players in college last year.
Yep.
And Bruce Pearl, I know people say a lot about Bruce Pearl, the stuff off the court. You know what? The moral of the story is on the court, the guy wins.
Yeah, he wins
mean, he
everywhere he
does.
goes. He wins. He has his players playing for him. And one thing I can say, he's a player's coach. He's going to get the best out of you. He's going to play to your strengths and your weaknesses. He's going to help cover them up. So I love playing for him.
I can tell you did. And I mean, like I said, the guy knows his stuff, and I need Bruce Pearl quote is going to work in my opinion in this
Right.
case. So hopefully the Bulls can win some of these games. The ones they're not supposed to here. Just quick, I don't think they're supposed to beat Dallas or
Right.
beat Luka. I mean,
Right.
I'm just going to say beat the Mavericks.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not supposed to beat Luka. The Hawks game, that follow that Trae Young situation. I want to Very curious
Yes.
to see what happens with that whole dynamic. I don't know the whole story is the big thing, but
Right.
maybe I'm
Yeah.
reading too much into it. But to me, you just win the games you're supposed to, and you're going to be fine. That's been the
Yep.
hard part to start the year.
Yep. Just win, baby, win.
Exactly. That's the old Al Davis line. Just win, baby.
Yep.
I don't care if it's an ugly win. I don't care if it's an 87-86 game. I
Yep.
mean, that's old. You want to talk about old school, 87,
Yeah.
86 like that.
Yeah.
If it's that type of game where both teams are shooting 30% from the floor, you know what? A win's a win.
Win's a
And
win. It's hard to get a win in the NBA. Don't take it for granted.
right. And now you're going home, so that's gonna make it a little easier instead of spending 6 games, well, actually 5 games out west because you started the trip at Milwaukee. But
Yep.
you're not on Pacific time anymore. You're back home. Great city of Chicago. I know it's cold, it's annoying, I hate it, but you're back at the United Center. You're gonna have your home
Yep.
fans with you. I think that's gonna hopefully that'll light a spark and maybe they can end this little skid they're on.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope the fans get behind them and come out and support them. And the fans are way better, or the Bulls are way better when the fans come out and support. I know they play way harder, so I think it's good for the city and good for the Bulls too.
Yeah, and we're gonna see how this next stretch of the schedule, because you're now 25% of the way into the season. Now we're gonna see how this next 25% goes. Maybe some moves on the horizon. I don't know. Now we're at the point in the year we're gonna start talking about potential moves. Still never gonna talk about blowing this thing up yet. I still think
Mhm.
that's way, way, way too early. But you know, we're gonna see. It's gonna be one of those stretches here. See what happens the next few weeks. We'll go from there.
Yep, yep. That's all you can do. Take one day at a time and one game at a time.
Absolutely. And we're going to take it one game at a time because we'll have one game to talk about when we reconvene later in the week. We're going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented to you as always by our friends at Bet Online. Use that promo code BLEAV, 50% welcome bonus. You can bet on the Bulls to beat the Wizards if you want. You can bet on the Bears to win their next game if you think the Bears are ever going to win another game this year. You can bet on college football, college basketball, because you got the college football playoff is set now, which that's probably a topic of debate. I'm sure people are going to have thoughts on that. And then you've
Right.
also got the World Cup. There's a lot to bet on over at Bet Online, and go support the show. Shop.believe.com. Great stuff for holiday shopping. Trust me, it's some good last minute ideas there. Trust me. This hat is really, really nice, by the way, especially as someone who needs a haircut. It covers it up very, very well. We will see you back here on Friday talking more Bulls basketball. Hopefully, we'll have more exciting stuff to talk about than a 3-game losing streak. But we will see
Right.
you then.